Welcome again to Living Room Equa Television International, where you learn so much about raising godly children and many other things that relate to the family. Today on set with me again is Mrs. Ibwebe Namo.
Good evening, viewers.
Let me add the aka IB. And then our sister, Mrs. Kalurang, who was here with us, and we hope will continue with us for a few more episodes until we properly put behind us this issue of how to handle children in school. Today we'll be looking at another most out of the new school term. As parents, as children, as stakeholders, how do we make the most out of it? Don't forget that we've already handled looking at your child's report, thinking about how the school fees can be staggered, but most of all, encouraging them to be their best once they get back to school mentally, physically, emotionally, and intellectually. So we have this big topic before us, and I have able people to put this to rest. But let me start with you, my sister. Now that I've sent the child back to school, shouldn't I rest? Shouldn't I just applaud myself? It's a big achievement. I've paid the school fees. I've bought the books. We've gotten them kitted. They are back to school. Shouldn't I take a break and rest?
Rest? How? How will you rest?
The school can do their bit.
Okay, the school come and take them to school, bring them back, give them food, do their homework, and keep up with the demands of the school. Other things that need to be done in the school. Who will do it?
So our work is not finished.
You haven't started.
We haven't started.
You haven't even started. When they start coming back with assignments, who will guide them?
Okay.
If you need to relax, who will guide them?
Okay.
You need to be there to check what is happening from school to the home and then back to the school. So you have not just started.
I was hoping that at least I'll catch some breath, Ivy. I hope that, at least we have done the maximum to get them back to school. Now we can relax. A driver can drop them and pick them, and we'll wait until there's a time for continuous assessment and all of that.
And then you check the results.
I think we have agreed on this program that children upbringing is a whole lot of tasks. It's demanding, and if you know you're not ready for it, do not have children. To have children means that you are telling yourself you want to be a mother, you want to be a father, and being a mother and a father takes a lot out of you. It demands your time, it demands your energy, it demands a lot of things from you, and that includes their school. So when children are back to school, it's a whole lot of, and I discovered that at resumption, in some schools, especially boarding school, they give you a newsletter. That is the beginning. You have to take time to read the newsletter so that you take cognizance of very important dates. It's not that, some people will say they will send us text later. What if the school send it bulk SMS, whatever text, and your own does not drop? But if you have the newsletter at the beginning of the school, you hang it where it will give you notice, and you make sure you cycle the very important dates on the newsletter and keep those dates in mind. Because a lot of times children are in school, and when parents are supposed to visit, they don't see their own parents. I've been to school to see my children, and you will see children coming to the gate to peep, especially boarding school, because their parents are not here. Some children will come and say, "Ma, please, can I use your phone to call my parents?" And then you call a parent and you say, "Is today the visiting?" Because they didn't take, and I'm sure they gave them newsletter just like they gave me. So checking of the newsletter is very, very important that you check. And then for those of them in primary school or in day school, as they go back and forth, you check to see what they are doing, you check to see how they are doing. And those in boarding school, anytime there is visiting and you have to go there, you'll be able to interact with them. Is the school, how are you doing in school? What is your work? What is happening to your results? In fact, I remember one time I went to check one of my sons. They said that one of the teachers called me and said, "Tell your son to bring his notebook so that you can see." So I told him, I said, go and bring your notebooks. So he brought the notebooks, and I discovered that his notes were haphazard. So I had to sit him down, talk with him. I said, next time I come here, if your notes are not complete, you will not like me. You know, so those are the things that keeps us on our toes. So going to rest is not part of it.
You know, I thought that it's only the big students, like the people in the universities, that we need to keep up with their work. But I can say definitely that students who hit the ground running, who are doing the assignments first week, second week, and doing due diligence, tend to be more consistent and tend to perform better than people who wait until last minute. I was thinking that at least maybe the primary and the secondary schools, you know, will give us some slack or cut us some slack. So what I'm hearing IB say is that, look, don't relax. As soon as school starts, start with the school. So we just have this mentality. We just have to develop the mentality where we're not resting on our oars and say the child has gone back to school, it's time for me to relax. That we need to be diligent from beginning to the end. Hi, that is a lot of work for parents. It's a lot of work for parents. Parents, we need to change our mindset. We need to change the mindset where we say it is at the end of the term that we shall look at the results. We have to work with the school. We have to work with the child throughout. Kwalaran, does it mean that every day the child comes back, I must open their notebooks and look at it?
Yeah, it's necessary. To keep up with what is happening in school, you need to check everything every day. That will also keep the child on check, and then you'll be able to know what's happening in school. Sometimes children, you know, get away with that if parents don't keep up with checking. So they get away with it. By the time they get back to school, why didn't you do your homework? My mother was not at home. Like I said the other week, my daddy said there was no pencil, there was no eraser, we didn't have a ruler. So even when they didn't do it, they didn't show you, because you're not used to checking them, they can always give those excuses. And then the school will now see it as if you're not involved. And that's it, because you are not involved. If you are involved, the child will not have any reason to give any excuse in school. But if you are involved, then the child will be able to, you know, do things the way he should do, especially if they're in the secondary school. Then if they're in the primary school or nursery school, you do that for them. They know that mommy will always check my work. So in school, there is no truancy. And then at home, they know that mommy will check, no truancy in school, and then they know when they go back to school, teacher will also talk, so there will be no truancy at home. So it's like you're boxing the child in from the school and from the home to, you know, strengthen the child on the right path.
I don't like the word boxing, but it conveys the term that there shouldn't be any escape.
Yeah.
But sometimes we hear children forget their school bag, maybe because they already knew that the performance was not good, so they are looking for a way to hide the performance. So I don't know whether it's on purpose, but they either forget a book or they forget. One time
bag.
my grandson forgot an entire bag.
The whole bag.
Yeah.
Forgot an entire school bag, and that happens. But also I think, like IB, parents must put their appointments on a calendar that they can remember. I think after you read a newsletter, a helpful thing would be to just put it on your calendar, on your phone, pull up the calendar, put the time, put the especially if you have many children that you are monitoring. You can't trust your brain. And sometimes we don't even look at the wall to know what the calendar is saying, but we look at the phone a lot. So let's save the dates on our calendar. But this thing that children, either through play or negligence, forget books in school or forget bags at home or ride on our busyness. What should we do? You know, what I mean by ride on our business, they know that when you are busy, they can tell you something and you will quickly forget what you meant to check on because you are busy.
You know, the children know us, and they know the things that we will just wave away, and they know the things that we take seriously. You know, I remember there are some children that the parent, when I was teaching in primary school, the parents came to the school with the child and said, the child said he forgot his notebook in school yesterday. So, teacher, I want him to do his assignment that he was supposed to do at home yesterday, because I checked and he said he forgot the school books in school. Please, whatever you will do with him to make sure he does this assignment, I want him to do it.
So what I have given the assignment back to the school?
No, not really.
Child. It depends
now,
on the timing.
What I did was that I told the child that your break today is taken away from you because you did not do your assignment at home. And your mother has already shown me that she's interested in helping you, but you were the one who was careless. So you don't have break time today. It was very painful for the child. She had to stay when others went for break. She had to stay in the class to do her assignment. Since then, he doesn't forget book in school again. You know, so sometimes when we put merits and demerits on some of the things that they do, they know, especially those in primary school, they can be very tricky. But you put merit and demerit on the things they do, they will straighten up. It's not about being harsh or scolding. If they know that what you do is just shout at them, that's all now. They'll say, when I get home today, mommy will just shout, and that will be the end of it. But when they know that you will follow them up to school, you will want to even ask the teacher that I need you to put a demerit on this child for this particular misbehavior. The child will know when that mommy is very serious or daddy is very serious with this kind of matter. So they won't take it lightly, because most times it is playfulness, it is carelessness, and most times it's the deliberate act, because they know that mommy will not check. But when they know that their parents check, their parents are very careful to note, they won't leave those things in school.
Okay, so let me amplify. You know, this your English, merit and demerit. I think simply put, for each child, let us look for what is important to them.
Yeah.
And let us exchange what is important for them as a prize for doing well or not doing well. Like the child that you listed, as you raised, break time is very important. We go out and play with people, and now you are saying I should stay and do homework. Break time is very important for them. But there can be other things that they consider very important. TV time.
That's at home.
Maybe having to go and sleep over with a friend. Whatever the privileges are that are important to the child. And they will be different for different children.
Yes.
So we must study them and find out what is valuable to them in exchange for what we want. Is this not carrot and stick?
Yeah, that's carrot and stick.
I think it's carrot and stick in another way. But without necessarily beating the child.
The child, you know.
So parents, don't go beating the child for everything. Let's weigh what is valuable to them, and let's use the carrot and stick. Let's take the privileges away. Yeah.
It's even more painful for them when you do that than when you beat them, because some of them have grown this tough skin. Or if you hit him, you say, "Pata mommy will just hit me." So he will just get over. But when they know that there's something this particular, and you, like you said, you have studied them, you know those things they love, and maybe you have never even done it before. You just withdraw that thing. Hey, it will really hit them. They won't want to repeat that thing again.
Okay. So we use carrot and stick during disciplining, and now we're using carrot and stick in getting the most out of schoolwork. Should we reward consistency and discipline, and how should we reward it?
I think it still goes back to the carrot and stick. Reward system and motivation. So if there is consistency, we shouldn't take that consistency for granted.
Okay.
Yeah. We should be able to reward that consistency at a point. Even if you don't reward, let the consistency be backed up with a motivation. It could be kind words. It could be, oh, you are doing well, continue. And
That's a reward.
you know, you don't really have to do anything, go out of your way, maybe to buy something, to reward or to take the child. You can do that for consistency. But if you say you are going to follow up the consistency, I think it will just become a routine for the child. So you can do it once in a while and let the child know that you know that that child is consistent and that you appreciate that consistency. So it's good to appreciate, to encourage, and then to motivate in any way possible. I don't know how, depending on the individual child and depending on the parent. I think it all boils down to the individual child. So if you know your child very well, like we have already said, you know how to motivate that child to continue. Because at some point, if the child feels, I've been doing this thing, it looks as if they are not noticing, the child might want to withdraw, except that child really is self-willed and really wants to, he's a go-getter, and he wants to just do it because he knows that it's something that is good for him or for her. That child will continue. But if not, if the child is that kind of child that uses eye service, I'll do it because mommy wants me to do it, so let me just do it. At the point, if he sees that you're not doing anything about it, he will decide to relax. Nothing is coming out of it. So you need to know your child.
Okay. So two things I'm taking away from what you're saying. We need to verbalize praise. We need to verbalize. Don't just keep it in your mind that the child has done well. Say it to them in their hearing. Not just say it to them in their hearing. If it's possible, once in a while, also give a token reward so that it's not always mouth. And parents are like, nobody gave me that reward when I was going to school. But it's our turn now.
Yeah.
And I think generally, Africans are not very good verbal. They don't verbalize praise to children, but we verbalize abuse.
Yes,
we verbalize criticism, and so please be consistent. Take note of what they are doing well. Take note of the progress they are also making. If they are improving
at every stage,
make sure you say that we saw it, we noticed it. But as you are saying that, I'm remembering that there are some arrogant, prideful children. You know, like when you say, you've done well, I know, I'm smart. How can you verbalize praise to a child that is already cocky?
That's why I said, if you know your child,
exactly,
you know what to do. So for that kind of child, yes, I know you're intelligent. You can do better. Let the child know that at that point, he has not even done as much as you are expecting. So that will challenge the child to want to do more, even though he knows that he has done, but that is not enough. Do more.
But you know, sometimes these children mirror us. I know that some of us adults too, we are kind of cocky. We are kind of prideful. Like when we think that we are doing this thing well, and people are saying it, they say, bring it more. You know, we're not even humble about their achievements. And maybe Ivy will talk about that. How do we help this child aspire to do well, but also maintain some level of humility?
Yeah.
I think that has to be to do with the spiritual upbringing in the training of the children. As much as you want to look at their schoolwork, you want to also train them in character. And character development has to do with humility, the fruit of the Spirit, helping them to emulate the fruit of the Spirit. So as you do devotion with them, that is where, because if you are trying to teach it when the child is exhibiting the character, the child may just think that you are being hard on him or her. But when you make it like you do it when the child is not expecting, you do a character training and you give an example of how bad or what pride does to people from scriptures, and lay the foundation for them that, look, no matter how good you are, you should know that ultimately it is God that makes you what you are. You should not put yourself in front of yourself, and then you teach all those things during maybe their devotion, when you are having any Bible studies with them and all. So they are learning that from a spiritual perspective. So it will be easy to remind them when they now want to show off with their schoolwork.
I remember that, like what I did with the children growing up was to remember to have a time of thanksgiving, maybe at the end of the work, at the end of the day, at the end of a test, when they come in very proud that I got 100. I say, let's thank God. It can draw their conscience to know that God is the giver of the intellect.
Exactly.
God is the one that enabled the success.
Exactly.
But I think parents help children to infuse this idea of, even if I'm smart, God gave me.
God,
and all of them think they are smart anyway. That God gave. Let's acknowledge God in the intellect He has given us, and then the stewardship of being excellent, because we're really actually working before God. So now, we've gone back. Work is going on. We're checking at home. Is that all that we can do? Is that what we can make the most out of a new term? I told you offset that I'm guilty. I've paid 1,000 naira in lieu of... but sometimes the PTAs are plenty. PTA is plenty. Open day is plenty. And the school would threaten us and say, if we didn't come, we must pay 1,000 naira. So
it's easier to pay the 1,000.
I would pay the 1,000 naira.
Calculate how many 1,000s.
Yeah. I think we also need to know that apart from schoolwork, there are so many other things to check. Like we've been talking about being sensitive to your children. Now, if a child is in a boarding school and you go visiting and you notice something off about your child, it's time to ask questions.
But within 1 hour, what can you notice?
No, you can. If you look at the child, if you have a child that when you come to school, he or she runs to hug you, and this time around you came and the child is coming as if he's sick. Are you sick? No. What is wrong with you? Nothing. You know that something is off. You may not want to attack it immediately, but maybe you should watch it for 1 or 2 visits. And then you begin to ask questions. No, you are not happy to see me when I come this day. What's the problem? And you may be able to dig out 1 or 2 things, And, you should also check their behavior in school. Check up their behavior in school in relation to their teachers and their school.
Let me pause you there.
Yes, ma'am.
And take Colorang, because this is hard. How do I go check their behavior in school? I don't school there. I don't teach there.
Like she said, if you know your child well enough, she just gave an example. You go visiting, the child is excited to see you, and then you go another time, the child is just like, why did you even come? That's the body language. There's something wrong somewhere.
But it's a day child, a day school child.
A day school child too. There are times that they also withdraw.
Yeah, they come back home. They are no longer excited
about school and going to school itself.
When
not
it
just
is time
the
to go to school, they are
reluctant. There's something
going on.
And with these issues of child abuse and all of those things, let's not delve there. So sometimes you might find a child being abused in school, either physically, emotionally, mentally. In any way, there might be an abuse somewhere, and that is what is causing that withdrawal. So if you know your child very well, you'll be able to notice, and when you notice, that's when you try to draw the child close to you, so you find out what that thing is that is making the child not to want to go to school.
So viewers, are you hearing what I'm hearing? I'm hearing that you need to be more observant. Apart from the schoolwork, observe your child closely. Maybe withdrawals, maybe just they are not being themselves. Take note of that and investigate further. At this point, we shall take a break and then we'll come back. Viewers, our numbers are on the screen. feel free to call us or even go to our Facebook and leave a message. We'll be able to respond to you. See you. Viewers, welcome back to our show again. We are talking about a very important topic, making the most out of the new school term. And before we went on break, we were saying that parents need to be more observant. Don't take anything for granted. But I think I hear you also saying that we should measure on the majors and also minor on the minors. Like sometimes our attention is on something more less important.
The school is not feeding you well. So when you are coming for visiting, you will kill all the chickens in the house. I see parents come for visiting and a parent is carrying 2 trays of Maltina. And I'm wondering, and who is going to drink all of this? And then they come with a group, set up some schools are now stopping it, especially during speech and prize giving day. People come and set up canopies. They come with all kinds of drinks. And when you talk, it's like, you don't have, that's why you are not. What exactly are you trying to prove?
So let me pause you there and say, how should we make the most out of the visiting? What should we be concentrating on and making the most out of the visiting? I would imagine that if we have observed the child, we should give a time for them to share their hearts, what school has been like, if there are challenges, if there are victories, But typically, we usually see that they have lost weight because, like you said the other time, we didn't prepare them physically for going back to school, so they've lost weight, and it's natural. It's not that they are sick or anything. Can we talk about how we make the most out of the visiting?
Yeah, making the most out of the visiting, like Mrs. Namo just said, find time to talk with your child. What's happening in school? Spiritually, how is the child doing? Is the child keeping up with their devotions, keeping up with their time with God? That's one very vital activity that must be part of a child's life when the child is away from home. You cannot keep up with that. So it's a time and an opportunity for you to find out what's happening to the child spiritually. Who are the child's friends? And then what do they do? Like I talk to my children, when you go back to school, what do you gist about? Everybody's talking about his parents. Is that all you talk about? You don't discuss books, you don't discuss the Bible, you don't discuss anything that will help you in what you are in school to do? You just talk about my mommy did this, my daddy did this, is that what you talk about? So it's a time for you to kind of connect that period that you've been apart. It's a time for you to connect, know what's happening to the child, and then know what's happening in the school. You go sometime with that withdrawal, like my son at a point wanted to leave his school. Why? So you find out what is happening in the school at such times. Why the child doesn't want to school, why the child wants to be in the school, why the child is doing what he is doing. So it's just a time for you to connect. So when you see the excitement, sometimes out of that excitement, they tell you even things that they shouldn't tell you. But when there is a withdrawal, you have to really you know,
Press.
prayerfully and press. As you are pressing your, you know, saying a prayer inside you for God to help that child to open up to you. Because some of those issues might be very, very sensitive issues that need to be addressed. If not, those issues can take that child to a point where he or she can get depressed. And it will lead to another different or dangerous issue in the child's life entirely. And most of these issues start from school. Even though we are not exonerating the home, but most of them start from school because of peer pressure. They have friends. Their friends are doing this and they're pressurizing them to do it too. Or they see their friends doing it and they want to do it. I read of a story of somebody who wanted something from his mother and then decided to, you know, break these batteries and save the powder. When the mother asked him, what do you want to do? If you refuse to give me this thing, I'll take the powder and I'll die. The mother got scared and she started doing those things. A friend saw the boy doing very well, and he asked him what happened. He said this is what he did. So he now went and tried it in his own house. And he got the beating of his life. So, you know, when you see this, there's peer pressure. And the peer pressure could be negative or positive.
So, this is for people who are in boarding school. But what of the people who are day schools, you know, maybe primary, secondary schools? I think parents need to be more
proactive.
I don't want to use the more involved and listen more. Like when you pick them up, what are they talking about?
They want to tell you a lot of stories.
What are they talking about? If they are unusually quiet, it's time to investigate. Maybe it's even an onset of an illness that we do not know. But we can't just be in a hurry and pick the children and drop them wherever. But that takes me to the after school too. Some parents leave the children in after school care until they'll go to pick the children 2 or 3 hours later. Would you recommend why or why not?
After school, except it becomes very, very, very necessary, I wouldn't recommend after school. In fact, some of the after school thing, I'm always wondering what exactly are they. Okay, parents will give excuses. And I have also found out, recently I was talking with one parent. She went and enrolled her child for holiday classes. And I was like, okay, holiday classes, why? And she was like, the child is disturbing me. Oh. I just want him to go out of the house so that I can. And she's at home. It's not like she's going out. I said, you are at home. He said, they are breaking tables, they are breaking chairs. I said, a time will come, you will look for somebody to break these things. They won't be there. So allow them to break it now that they are still with you. So these children are your children. Why are you so much in a hurry to send them out of your sight? So except it becomes very, very necessary, I do not recommend after school. Pick your children when they are after school, take them home, bond with them. Even if you have to go out, is it a way you can take them? One of our colleagues will say that her class is a mini house. Her car is a mini house. So when she picks her children from school, she will carry food and give them while they are eating. She's doing all the things that and then they come back home together in the evening and they bond. So don't be in a hurry to push the children away or be looking for somebody to take care of the children. You are their parents. Why are you always looking for somebody to take care of your children? If you knew you were not ready for the care, why bring the children to the world? So I know that sometimes we can be very busy. I know that some parents will not be happy with me now with all this I'm saying. But see, parenting is a deliberate thing. It is something that you have to tell yourself that it is time to do it. And you do it with all the strength that you have. You put all the energy into it. You cannot be having children and somebody else is helping you to care for the children. So after school, like I said, except it becomes extremely necessary.
So when I was talking about after school care, I was also meaning things like after school lessons. You know, school has closed. Parents arrange for children to stay and have a lesson teacher to do that, because some people are simply not competent enough to coach their children in terms of homework. And that's the kind of aftercare I was talking about.
Okay.
Besides, other parents work long hours. Bankers, people in private organizations, they work and close late. So that was what I was hoping we'll talk about.
That was why she said, except it becomes extremely necessary. So that necessity brings in the issue of the very busy parents, like the bankers and other people in the private sector who work long hours. So in situations like that, you don't have an option. And maybe the only other option is to have an in-help. But you know, the issue of in-helps now. There is child abuse, there's domestic abuse, there are all sorts of abuses. So sometimes it's actually better to have the aftercare in a school setup. But even in the school setup, you need to be careful which setup you keep your child. And then when you also have the lesson teachers, you need to be careful too.
Oh yeah. You're making it sound like we're between the devil and the deep sea.
Actually, yes.
That's what is happening.
Actually, yes.
That's what is
because
happening.
there are a lot of things that when you hear, you want to, like the mother hen, just cover your children, let them not
be everywhere.
Just be everywhere they are. When
That's
you
what
hear
is
some things that teachers do after school to children that we are left behind, because while the school is bustling, they can't have time for such things. It's when the school has closed and everybody is gone, and these little children, primary school children, are in their care. They take advantage of them. They do whatever they want to do with them because they are now in their care. So that's why
that do it during the school hours.
You see, so that's why we have to just be careful and prayerful.
You just
too.
have to pray and just incubate your children in prayers, cover them,
and train them to
just let them. In fact, when they're in school, let them take responsibility for their being in school. Because as small as they are, even if it is in nursery school, let them know that these things happen. They can happen to them. They are not too young for these things to happen to. We have pedophiles, we have
all kinds of people
in the school setup.
Yes.
That look like angels, but they are something else. So you just need to incubate your children in prayers. And God will always help you out.
I hope this is helpful to you.
Yeah.
So now we were just saying, let's just discuss maybe for the people in day schools, what is aftercare? We were thinking about maybe after school lessons, because parents are either bankers or have to work long hours. But can you hear what we're hearing? We need to be very careful, and we need to equip our children to be sensitive to danger. These same people who give care may be the same people who turn and hurt them, or prey on them, hurt them. So parents must be watchful, and the children themselves must be watchful. So this is more than just the after school homework. It's also after school welfare.
Yeah, I think that's it.
And I like what you said.
Yes.
Incubate the children in prayer.
Yeah.
Teach them to be prayerful. I think in previous sessions we had talked about danger signs for when the child must cry out, things that we should not absolutely accept, undue attention, being alone with a child for certain lengths of time. But God who helped us will also help you.
Amen.
So, now we have looked at after school care. What else should we do? How should we prepare for school, being consistent with work, looking forward to another set of exams?
There's this issue of always checking your children too. When especially those in day school, when they come back home, check their bags. because sometimes they pick things that are not things that you gave them
They
from
pick
home.
or they stole?
Or whatever.
Anyhow. Anyone.
Whether
Which
stole
one
or
is it?
pick.
Did they pick or did they steal?
They pick, they stole.
is
Anyway,
picking.
something that
It's
is
not
not
their
their own is inside their bags. So they need to answer the questions. You know, so you need to check their bags. See, you are the one that bought the bag for them. The books inside the bag, it was your money they use in buying it. So your child cannot say, Mommy, don't touch my bag. I will touch it. I will remove all the bag. In fact, inside exercise book, I will dust it like this. What is inside? You know, so that you will be sure of what these children are carrying with them, those things that are not their own. And those ones in boarding school, when they come, okay, that one we have talked about it when we're talking about, when they come back, you check everything. You see a child with uniform. You know, there was a time I saw my daughter came home with a dress. And I was like, I didn't buy this dress. What happened? She told me that somebody gave it to her, this so person. And I know the person, I know the parent. So I went and met the mother. I said, my daughter said your daughter gave her a dress. Is it true? The woman said, yes. Her daughter had been telling her that she wants to give a dress to my daughter, that she didn't even know that she had already given her. Now, I am at peace, Abby, but if I just kept quiet and she kept that dress, tomorrow she will carry another thing, another day she will carry another. So you have to keep a tab on the children. Anything that is not, you didn't buy, you should not see. Don't say, my friend gave me. Who is your friend that gave you? I want to know why and why.
And
You know, a child took something from our house, I remember, to go and give a teacher in a school as a gift.
Yeah.
Thank God that the teacher called our attention that, thank you, oh, we saw the gift you sent to us through your child. I'm like, gift to you through my child. Which gift? He said Valentine's gift. I said, I didn't even know that there was Valentine's. So when we started checking, we discovered that she stole her elder sister's thing and took it to go and give as a gift in the school. So, but if the teacher never mentioned it, you see, that is, you know, it would have been like that. So we need to check.
IB is not only children, but there are some bad teachers that also
tell children to
bring gifts.
Yes.
And the children are afraid to tell the parents that, my teacher said this. And then what is worse, other children are taking gifts and they are seeing it. So there's the pressure to want to also do like the other children. But I think the value in checking the children's school bags, especially for the young adults, is that we might catch them with substance abuse. Things they hide in their bags. Cigarettes, lighters, anything that can make you wake up. You know, I think when my son was in high school, I constantly saw lighters. And what are you doing with the lighter? And I was daft enough to believe what he was saying, that, there's an experiment. But how did you even buy the lighter?
Exactly.
God just helped us to nip it in the bud and say, do you know that lighters are used for cigarettes and everything? You may say you are using it to light a fire quickly, but does the school permit it? So checking the school bags helps us know whether there are things like early signs of substance abuse, cigarettes, alcohol, or you might even find pictures that you shouldn't be seeing.
Yes.
So I like that. Check the school bags. If it is the boarding children, they may hide the things before they come, but God will help us discover some of the things.
Another thing, checking the bags after. Check before.
Check before what?
Before they go to school. If they are going to go to school, check before they go to school.
They steal things from home to take to school.
They either steal things from home to take to school, or they take extra clothes in their bags. So at the end of the day, they are not at home and they are not in school.
Okay.
And
so
we also need
to check their bags before they go to school. Check their bag after school. Honest, I need to start doing that random checking.
Yeah. It's not that it's every day. Just once
in a while.
They are ready to go to school. You just say, Oga, bring that your bag.
Unexpectedly.
And you just open it. you might be shocked at what you will find inside. And we also need to check timing, especially for those in day school.
Day school.
The ones in senior secondary school. When a child tells you, after school, I went to, and you know, once they enter senior secondary, they don't want you to take them to school again. They want to go to school by themselves. They feel they are big boys and big girls. They will call them mommy's pet if mommy is always taking them to school. So, what if I don't take you to school? When the school is closed, I will call the school. Are there still children left in school? Is my child one of them? So that when he comes home and tell me, we were doing extra lesson, we were doing games, I'll be able to know that he's lying. So if you don't check on those timing, you will not know.
Viewers, don't be naive. Don't believe everything. One of the things that Kalorang said is, check their bags and see whether there are extra clothing inside it, because sometimes the children are neither at home nor at school. So can you see how we can make the most out of the school term? By being diligent. I think this requires our being diligent, being intentional. And some of them will like you, some of them will not like you. But what is the goal? Our goal is that we make the most out of it, we excel, we bring glory to God, not just in academics, but also in our character. I think we're coming to gradually to the end of the show, and I'll give Kalorang one opportunity, maybe 2 minutes, then give Ivy 2 minutes if there's anything you want our viewers to take home about making the most out of the school term.
Like our uncle said, be intentional, be deliberate, be prayerful, and don't feel don't feel, I don't know the word to use, don't feel like your child will not like you if you do those things. You do them today for your own future, your own as a parent tomorrow. Because if you don't do them today, these things you are refusing to do today, they'll be your punishment tomorrow. Are you ready for that?
Thank you. Thank you.
You know, we are like mother hen. Let's put our children under our wings. Let's love them, but let's be very sensitive to what happens around them. And like she said, it is not for today. And you know, if you bring up children throughout, and they at one point never say they hate you, we have not started. At one point they will hate you, they hate you to come and love you later.
I like that illustration of mother hen. A mother hen protects the children, fights whoever is going to pray, and this fighting is both spiritual and being vigilant.
Exactly.
So viewers, you've heard enough today about how to make the most out of the new term. It's our prayer that as you take these steps, we shall see the results. Like Kalorang said, the results are in the future, but it is today we're sowing the seed. So I want to thank you for being with us on this 1 hour of the Living Room Equa Television. Like we said earlier, go to our Facebook page and leave comments. We are delighted to hear from you. May God bless you as you take steps every day to make our homes bring glory to God through our lives and our children. Bye-bye.
Bye.